Hi guys, this is Emma at the Vlog Lady. Today I'm going to be watching Twin Peaks: The Return, but I do feel like I let the team down a little bit because it aired last night at 2 AM and I was intending to watch it and I didn't get to watch it. I was awake listening to oyster catchers fly over my house. Not quite the experience I was hoping for, but anyway, I'm recording myself now in daylight and this is going to be my raw reaction to seeing Twin Peaks in over 2.5 decades. Here it goes. I'm a little bit scared. Actually, a little bit breathless. Whoa, that is so disorientating. Jacoby's house. Why am I not surprised? Oh. What the... That is so... so disorientating. Some kind of weird futuristic thing, isn't it? Shit. What is that? I'm scared now. I'm really actually scared. Something's going to appear in that box, isn't it? Ashley Judd? I did not expect her to have a role like that. No way. Oh, crap. Bloody hell. What the hell? The hills have eyes. Okay, I don't think I can stand this box thing much longer. It's like, what the fuck is going to appear in that box? Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Please don't let anything happen to the dog. Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't even want... No! Oh.
Deputy Hawk, Margaret Lannerman's on line 1. And you have to find it.
Can I just say, I'm so glad I didn't watch this at 2 AM because I would have been shitting myself.
He was born on the same day as Marlon Brando.
And he wanted to...
Oh, is that a Chihuahua ear? No. No. It's an owl, right? Not like a dog. Look at the cigarettes. Oh my god. Okay guys, so I've just finished watching Twin Peaks Part 1 and 2. Where to start with? I don't know where to start. Okay, first of all, that was just like nothing I could possibly have imagined. I mean, what was all that crap from Showtime about this isn't going to be as violent as you think? Like, that was the most disturbing thing, especially when Tracy and the boy, I don't even know what to call it. It was like a rotating helicopter blade death. You know, it was like they got massacred. And then all that physical violence and the murders and the gruesomeness. I mean, yes, it was completely violent. It was like the worst horror I think I've seen in many years. In comparison with the original show, this has just gone all out. It reminded me a lot of Lost Highway in terms of the amount of violence and the kind of violence and the fascination on violence and the way that Lynch likes to just stare at horrible things. He just likes to examine disgusting, horrific things. Even that wildlife movie that Sarah Palmer was watching, we had to see it reflected in all of the mirrors in her house just to amplify the horror. It was just horrendous, okay? Let's start with the Twin Peaks stuff. So what I mean by that, in the town of Twin Peaks, we saw the log lady. It was heartbreaking to see Catherine Coulson looking so frail. I don't know if that was her own treatment equipment that she was wearing. I'm going to assume it was because she was very ill, I think, at the time of filming, and I just thought it was very sad to see her so close to the end, and that we knew she was close to the end when we see this scene. Everything that she said was honoured by Hawk, and he obviously had a lot of respect for what Margaret had to say. Lucy and Andy, the stuff with their child being called Wally, obviously very funny, but a little bit weird because the way they talked about Wally was almost as if they were still treating him as if he was a 3-year-old. I had like a moment where I was like, is Wally alive? Or have they just preserved his body or something like that, you know? It was just the way they were talking about their own son was very strange. Ben and Jerry. Nothing much seems to have changed there. I love that Jerry still has that old spirit, I really do. I did not expect Ashley Judd to be in the hotel at all. I thought she would be like somewhere in one of the cities, and I liked the rapport she had with Ben. I think, you know, despite the age difference, I think that there could be a possibility for romance there. She seemed like a really nice woman. There was a short scene with Jacoby. I have no idea what was going on there. He seemed to be digging for something. He was getting these spades delivered. This is obviously a huge puzzle that is going to take a long time to be deciphered, and I think all the pieces are going to very gradually come together. So that scene with Jacoby felt very displaced, but perhaps it will make sense further down the line. James and Shelley at the Roadhouse. I also think I saw Walter Olowitz, is that his name? Played Jacques Renault. He was tending the bar behind James. I thought it was very interesting what Shelley said about James. James is obviously still considered to be an outsider, and she mentioned that he'd had a motorcycle accident which made him quiet. I assume this means he had some kind of brain injury, because I think that James seemed perfectly normal. He seemed like he didn't have any difficulties in moving around, or he didn't have any mental difficulties, but I know that sometimes if you have a small brain injury, it can change your personality and it can affect the way you behave, change you from who you were before. So perhaps James is a little different. He seemed like a very nice guy, and he was chaperoning this younger guy around who was wearing a green glove. I have no idea why or who the younger guy is. They looked very similar, as though they could be related. But James seemed to be showing this younger guy the Roadhouse for the first time, because he was saying like, isn't this great? It was so complex and there were so many elements that it's difficult to know what to talk about. First of all, the idea that this is taking place in many different places, a completely different feel to the original Twin Peaks in that sense, and I thought that it almost felt futuristic at some points, especially when we were getting these odd perspectives of cityscapes. The show, felt really Lynchian in tone and style, and to me it felt reminiscent of Mulholland Drive in a lot of ways, with a lot of scenes that felt very long, and there was a lot of space in each scene, a lot of time, a lot of emphasis on just looking at the scene. Instead of the dialogue being what drove the scenes, there was something else that drove them. It was like looking at a painting, and that is typical of David Lynch, I think, because he is an artist. So I'll begin with the stuff in New York. That, you know, I knew that there was something horrible going to happen with that box. I think we all did. There was a sense of foreboding throughout the whole of those scenes with Tracy and the man who I don't know the name of, Ben Rosenfield character. You could just tell that something nasty was going to happen there, but I was completely surprised by the death scene. I have no idea what was going on there. A creature appeared in the box. It seemed to be just spinning like a ball of energy. This energy just seemed to rotate into the faces of these young people and kill them, basically. And they just sat there as if they had no idea what was going on until it was too late. Later on, we saw Cooper appear in the box, the good Cooper, and some very strange things happened with the dimension of the box and the laws of gravity. Everything that we know about life on Earth and life as a human was sort of turned on its head in that scene, with Cooper appearing in the box and disappearing through the glass and then floating. I'm going to assume that after this scene he vanished again. He is not out anywhere. He is not actually in New York, his body, the good Coop. Okay. I just don't know where to go. The Red Room stuff. Okay, the Red Room was more fucked up than it ever has been. We had a floor that was moving. Incidentally, I know someone said before this came on that the Red Room floor was always maroon and white, but I never quite believed it, but obviously it is maroon and white. The floor was moving up and down. Everything we might have expected, basically, was altered and crazy and scary. I am guessing that the electrical tree with the hunk of flesh at the top of it was the replacement for Michael J. Anderson. I'm guessing that these lines would have been attributed to him or his character. And I'm guessing that the tree was the alternative. What the fuck was the tree? It was like some kind of weird David Lynch art invention. It was unpleasant, I've got to say that. I found it unpleasant, the tree. I did not like it. I mean, I thought the Red Room was weird before, but this time, you know, the way they shot it, they were like taking the camera and zooming it around the room so that there was this dizzying perspective, like we were inside Coop's mind and this is what he has been experiencing for all this time. Laura Palmer, the stuff with Laura Palmer and the conversation with her was very cryptic and difficult to interpret. She said she felt like Laura Palmer, and then she said she was Laura Palmer, and then she said the same line about her arms bending back, as if part of her was not there, as if that was only a little bit of the whole of Laura Palmer. And clearly what happened to Laura in the Red Room was unpleasant. She was like zapped away. She whispered something to Coop, which I assume is going to be important somewhere down the line. And again there was that sort of slightly romantic thing with Cooper as well when she kissed him. Leland Palmer appeared in the Red Room as well. He looked very upset. He looked like the real Leland Palmer and not the doppelganger. He only had one thing to say to Cooper, and that was to find Laura. So I assume that something has happened to Laura's essence, if you like, inside the Red Room, inside the Black Lodge, and she hasn't been able to progress to the White Lodge. I'm not completely certain what's going on at this stage. We had a lot of shots of Cooper looking very distressed, just his face, like, you know, I thought it was very upsetting to hear the fact that he can't leave the Black Lodge until his evil doppelganger returns there. Now let's get on to that, because that was confusing as well. I wasn't sure at first whether the bad Cooper was Bob or the evil doppelganger, but then we had the evil Coop communicate with someone on this strange device, very technical device. It seemed to suggest that Cooper was still acting the part of being an FBI agent in some capacity, because he was able to access data for agents. He communicated with someone he thought was Philip Jeffries. Clearly that wasn't Philip Jeffries, at least the Philip Jeffries we knew, because he didn't have a southern accent. He didn't sound anything like David Bowie. And this person said to Cooper, "You're going back in and I'll be with Bob again." So that implies to me that Bob is no longer with Cooper or with the evil doppelganger. I just am confused by that. Okay, all the stuff that evil Coop did suggests he has been doing it for a long time, suggests he has been mixing with degenerate type people, committing violent acts. He was very skilled in violent acts. He knew how to fight, he knew how to kill. It was horrendous, actually, seeing Kyle MacLachlan play Cooper, at least a version of Cooper, and have him do all these horrible things. I particularly found the scene with Nicola Liberty very disturbing, because it went on so long and because it was just like a cat playing with a mouse. It was horrible. So we had this stuff with the headmaster, who was called Bill Hastings, and I had no idea where this was going until Coop appeared. As I say, this does feel like a very fractured storyline at the moment, and I think that it will all come together eventually, but this was difficult to interpret what was going on at this point. We had Bill accused of the murder of Ruth Davenport, who was found in her apartment, headless. I mean, no, she wasn't headless, she was bodiless. It seems his wife, Phyllis, was actually inhabited by a spirit, or perhaps she was just an entity from the Black Lodge. Her husband had no idea what he had actually done, which implied to me that Phyllis was able to inhabit the husband at some point, or have some effect on him that made him go and do these things in the room with Ruth Davenport. As he was being jailed Bill Hastings had a look of shock on his face, as if he suddenly realized something, and then Phyllis went outside and talked to a cop, I think it was, and she said he knows now. All that stuff reminded me a lot of Mark Frost's The Secret History of Twin Peaks, in which a lot of people who are seemingly of this lifestyle where they are completely normal and they are important members of society who hobnob and who look completely normal from the outside, but something dark and nasty is happening underneath that surface. I thought it was going to get really sci-fi when Agent Cooper, or the bad Coop, turned up and he said to Phyllis, "You follow human nature perfectly." And I thought, oh, this is really sounding like Alien. It was a little bit odd because I don't think we've heard anything or seen anything quite so blatant in the past series of Twin Peaks. Clearly Evil Coop has a network of people who have been supporting him and helping him, and who also have connections with his kind, or who are his kind, and who have escaped from the Black Lodge as well, or who have escaped from the White. I just don't know. Okay, so we had an appearance by Jennifer Jason Leigh. I thought it was a little bit extreme, the line that Coop said in the room when he touched her and said, "You feel very wet," or something like that. I mean, oh, this is like Twin Peaks, but we're in like a different universe of Twin Peaks now. You know what I mean? We would never have heard a line like that in the original Twin Peaks. It almost feels like this is the grown-up version of Twin Peaks, and that was the childhood version of Twin Peaks, the first two series. You know, shit has gotten real. There was just a lot of weird things going on in these two episodes. That figure that was in the jail, that was painted black, who looked like a tramp, reminiscent of the bum outside of Winky's in Mulholland Drive. I thought that was strange, but I also thought it was a little bit unintentionally funny when the head went floating up. We had lots of symbols and things that we were familiar with in the first two series of Twin Peaks, and things like the white horse. I know a lot of people thought that the white horse indicated that Sarah Palmer was being drugged. I think that the horse's presence in this scene demonstrates that the horse perhaps represents something else. Cooper as Evil Coop reminded me a lot of Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet, and I also think he looked like Bob as well. He was dressed kind of like Bob would dress. Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, Chantel I think she was called, seems very attracted to the Evil Coop and seems very willing to do whatever he wants to do, and she seems as if she has a lot of similar spirit to Evil Coop, as if she is ready to go, ready to wreak havoc. There was a strange moment in the Roadhouse when I thought James was looking at Shelley, and I thought, wow, wouldn't that be a nice hookup? But then Shelley was obviously giving the eyes to Balthazar Getty's character, who appeared on the other side of the bar. Regardless of that, Shelley seemed to know a bit about James, and as though she respected him and liked him a lot. I don't think Shelley and James had a lot to do with each other in the original series. James is being romantically linked up to this new character. Donna doesn't seem to be in the picture. Seems to be interested in the character played by Jessica Zor. I think that would be lovely to see that progress, that relationship, especially if James hasn't had much luck in life. I just don't know what to say about this. My mind is completely blown actually, and I don't think I can actually watch any more Twin Peaks today. I was planning on watching parts 3 and 4 straight away, but I honestly don't think I can. I mean, this is like nothing else I've ever seen. I know that I have said that before when I've watched things directed by David Lynch, but this is so clearly him. This has his mark all over it, and I know that Mark Frost is a very important part of that, but so much of this felt Lynchian in design that I can't imagine what Twin Peaks would have been if he had not been at the helm. Then again, I do think sometimes the Lynchian effect goes a little too far. I think that we had reminiscences of, if that's such a word, of all of his movies in this two-part episode. We had that black and white scene. It reminded me a lot of Razorhead. There were elements of Blue Velvet. What the fuck was that? Was that a chihuahua ear in the car? I mean, come on. That was... We had... yeah, a lot of it reminded me of Mulholland Drive, especially the stuff with these quirky characters that we may never see again. I like the fact that we kept diving back into Twin Peaks. We never quite went away. Although Twin Peaks seemed like a lot of things hadn't really changed. I mean, Lucy and Andy still there, Hawk still working at the sheriff's station. Incidentally, I got a bit scared when Lucy said, "Which sheriff do you mean? One is sick and one is fishing." I'm guessing that Harry is the one who is sick, which is slightly ominous. I'm glad that he's not dead or anything, you know? And is there a possibility that we might see him at some point, Harry, before the end of the series? Perhaps a cameo role? Although some aspects of Twin Peaks seem very similar. Jacoby's still wearing his multicolored glasses. Ben and Jerry are still playing around in the hotel. Where the hell is Audrey, by the way? She's obviously not there. I thought that, you know, it seemed like in the original series that Audrey might end up running the hotel. Clearly she had better things to do. Some aspects of Twin Peaks clearly had changed. When we were at the Roadhouse, I think that band was called the Chromatics. If I'm not mistaken, that's what came up in the credits. They didn't exactly, I don't think, have the impact of the Julie Cruz scenes, but I don't think that that scene was meant to have the impact of the Julie Cruz scenes. I think it was just, yeah, this is beautiful music. It was beautiful music. It was a nice song. It was good performance, and it was atmospheric, but in a more casual way. It just seemed like a song from the soundtrack of life, basically. Okay, so my overall opinion, because I think I have to wrap this up now, is that I liked it. I was scared. A lot of the time I was feeling very scared and as if I had a feeling of dread. I really don't like the evil Coop. I would like to kick his ass. He wants to get himself back into that black lodge and let good Coop get out, and then everything will be okay. I think that Laura is going to come into this somewhere because the good Coop was instructed to find Laura. It felt like longer than 2 hours, I have to be honest. I feel like I was really pulled in. It really did transport me. And TV doesn't, you know, have that power anymore. Felt more like a movie. Yeah, I am just transported to a place right now that I am not able to watch any more episodes. I just can't take it. My body can't take it. My mind can't take it. So I think I will cover episodes 3 and 4 either sometime this week or next week. But let me know what you thought of the 2-part episode opener in the comments below, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you want to keep up to date with my reactions and reviews of each episode. I feel like I am mentally and physically exhausted by what I've just seen. That is all. Okay, bye.